For those of you who are here and stayed with us or new and joining us, we are very happy to have you here. And we have John Silveria with the Plumbers and Plumbers and Steam Fitters Union and Pipefitters Union, I should say. And I'm sorry, John, that just didn't come out right. But anyway, he's going to give you some insights into what is available as far as the unions are concerned, apprenticeships, I'm sure, things along those lines, maybe a little background history as far as the unions are concerned, maybe his own background, how he came up. But the unions, as far as veterans and that kind of thing, they go hand in hand. It's been a proud partnership for over 100 years, so long. So without further ado, this is John Silveria. And John, it's all yours. And please go ahead and give us some good insight.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for having me. I love our country and I love our veterans, and so does the union. And so we're very happy to be able to help out those who have served and those families, family members of those who have served. So my name is John Silveria, as he said. I'm a first generation pipe fitter. I'm also a pipe welder, plumber certification. I have rigging certifications, a certified welding inspector, and I got all those through the union. Like a lot of people, I think as you get a little older, you get out of whether you're a military person or high school, you get out of high school, you don't really know what you're doing. I found my way here, and it's been the best opportunity for me and my family. So I just want to share that with everybody. So as Alan was saying, I'm part of the Plumbers and Pipefitters or Steam Fitters Union. Steam Fitter is more of a East Coast term, but it means the same thing. We deal with piping, any kind of piping, whether that, from sanitary drains in your house to, nuclear power plants with steam and all sorts of stuff. So I'm going to share my screen real quick and show you a short video from the United Association, which is our parent organization. And it'll take a minute and a half, and then I'll talk some more. So let me share that real quick.
John, you have a whole half hour. You can take a half hour to 45 minutes if you wish.
Okay. I on the schedule, it only showed 15 minutes. So
go ahead, take us. No, you've got half hour, 45 minutes. And I think it's valuable for the unions to be here.
Okay, absolutely. Well, let me share this video real quick. One
of the best things that there is out there. You're able to bring in money home and provide for your families, and at the same time learn.
I make a lot of money, and I have a pension. I have a supplemental. I have money put away.
If you are getting out of the military and you're not sure where to go, union is the way to go. You have that brotherhood and camaraderie.
I was at Fort Campbell in the U.S. Army. When I heard about it, I was like, man, this is everything I'm looking for.
I was taking a lot of pride in the brotherhood that we have.
Well, I decided to become a plumber, and I researched, and I decided that the union route was the way to go.
You plug your laptop in at a controller and you look at it and see what the system's doing.
All of the benefits that we get and all the support that we get.
Whether it's AC, pipe fitting, or welding, the apprenticeship program is the way to go.
We're actually going to do a 2F billet weld this afternoon.
I didn't realize how big of an association this is. I'm extremely proud to be part of it.
I can't tell you how excited I am that I get to be part of this and do something great for my family and for my community.
So that's a short video from the United Association. We're an international organization. It's all of the United States, Canada, Ireland, New Zealand, Australia. And, the whole point of a union is to band together and to create negotiating power, create power to, not only negotiate wages, but negotiate safety and all sorts of other things that are involved in construction. So, our union is what we call an external union. Some people might know about teachers unions or police unions. Those are more internal unions where you get a job, you're immediately brought into the union. With the Plumbers and Pipefitters union, you join the union, and the contract, we work hand in hand with contractors, but you're not employed by the union. You're employed by the company through the union. So it's a little different. And so our program is, we have a 5-year apprenticeship. The apprenticeship teaches you all sorts of different skills, math, science, hands-on training, and it helps prepare you. When you've completed that 5-year apprenticeship, you have a chance to become a journeyman. And as a journeyman, you can choose a bunch of different areas. So like I said, I have a journeyman certifications in pipe fitting and plumbing, welding, and there are, within our union, there's heating and air conditioning. So HVAC is another area where you can go down a path there, and that's within the United Association. And then sprinkler fitters is also under the general umbrella of the Plumbers and Pipefitters Union. So fire sprinklers and things along those lines. So my local, which is local 403, is San Luis Obispo County. We cover the entire county, and we do mostly commercial and industrial work. We don't do a lot of residential work. So, like the preconceived notion about plumbing, I think we've all seen, different videos or memes about plumbers, but what we do is generally new construction. So you're not going into under somebody's house and messing with their waistline. You're helping build facilities. We built quite a few facilities at Cal Poly. I've helped build hospitals, a juvenile hall, worked out at Diablo Canyon doing plumbing and pipe fitting. So it's it's a little different than you might think just from the name. So yeah, our 5-year apprenticeship is, we do block training. So as it is right now, if you were to join, you would come in and you would go to school 1 week every other month. So you'd work on the job training as long as there's work in the construction field in our area. You'll work for 7 or 8 weeks, and then you'll go to 1 week of class. And during that week of class, you'll be doing book work, you'll be doing safety training, you'll be learning about new equipment, different disciplines, whether that's, our program is kind of a dual enrollment right now. And that means when you get done, you're going to be doing a hybrid of plumbing and pipe fitting because that serves our area best. So you'll learn a little bit of both, and you'll probably end up coming out of our program with both certifications. And during that program, when you get hired on, I'm going to share my screen again. These are our wages. So I'm going to share 1 second. So as you can see, I'm going to zoom in a little bit. This top section up here is our wages. This is started September 1st of this year and goes through the end of August next year. So as a first-year apprentice, you're starting out at $22 an hour, which is pretty good wage even for here. But it just goes up from there. And our journeymen now make almost $50 an hour. And by the time we get to next September, it'll probably be over $50 an hour, which, you're not going to find a lot of places where you can come and make that kind of money in such a short amount of time. And so as you can see, as we go along, so we have in this first column, we have wages, and we have vacation and holiday. This fund here is because construction is considered seasonal, even though California is not really that seasonal. This, on top of this, this goes into a fund that you could draw from a couple times a year. And as you move to your right, we have H&W here, which is your health and welfare. So as a journeyman, I earn almost $9 an hour into a health and welfare account, which helps cover my entire family for insurance. So I have a wife and a son. They're both covered. It doesn't cost me anything else. It's all included in my a wage package. And then you keep going. We have a pension. So for us here, we're part of a District Council 16, which is all the locals in Southern California. So we have a local pension, which is all of Southern California. So that $9.50 an hour goes into a pension fund for the local. And then we have a national pension. So we actually, when we retire, we'll have two pensions, or when you retire. Then we have UA training and this A&J training here. Our organization spends hundreds of millions of dollars every year on training. I'm actually part of the training staff. I'm the instructor supervisor at my local. And so, I've gone back to Ann Arbor, Michigan a couple times for instructor training. Plan on going back a number of times more. That's all paid for by these funds. My salary is paid for by these funds. And then we have a few other things, retirement fund. So for our retired members, the retirement Christmas fund, when you retire, there's no inflation on your retirement. So whatever your pension is, it is. So in order to help out those members who are retired for a number of years, we put that 80 cents an hour goes into a fund, and then it's divided among all retired members around Christmas time, and they're sent a 13th check, which helps with their cost of living increases and all that. And in years where there's tons of work, I mean, it can be significant. It can be as big or bigger than their normal check. So they really appreciate that. And then we have some other administrative funds. But as you can see, as you come across here as a journeyman, your total package, the value of what goes to you every hour is $78.32. So you see, between these two, you see about 52.28 on your check. The rest is all behind the scenes, but it covers for your insurance. It's putting money away for retirement. So it's a pretty good program. Almost every time I pull this out, I have people ask how they can become an industrial welder because they see that scale above, and then a foreman and a general foreman. So those are all things. The industrial welder is basically is dictated by the job. So when you go out to a place like a refinery or a nuclear power plant, something that's obviously industrial, then when you go out there as a welder, you get an extra increase. As far as foreman and general foreman, those are kind of earned through, your work ethic and all those. The company that you're working for will kind of pick and choose who they deem to be foreman or general foreman, and they get those wage increases as well. So, it's a pretty good program. Like I said, starting out at $22 an hour, it goes up pretty fast. And the goal is, you're working, you're learning on the job, you're earning a decent living, and you're going through training that 1 week every other month. And if you complete the number of work hours and the number of school hours, then we deem that you're a move on to the next wage increase. And it's not insignificant jumps, and you can see it gets bigger as you go. Starts out at $2.50 and then jumps, by the time you get into fifth year, it's almost $5 an hour jump. So yeah, it's a pretty awesome opportunity, and one that I think a lot of people don't know about, but these union opportunities are great. I don't know what other unions are going to be represented here today, but I think union labor in general is a really good way to go. I know that through the military, you guys, you learn all sorts of skills. some of them relate directly to what we do. And so that can be really helpful. It can actually bring you in further along in the apprenticeship than somebody else who's coming in off the street. You also learn how to work hard, and that's something that we need, the construction field in general, but our union and other unions definitely desire. And we work hand in hand with the electricians union and the sheet metal union, and they're all really good programs as well. But I think we're near the top as far as pay scale, and we're near the top as far as the amount of training and the amount of opportunities that are given. So yeah, that's
So,
a
John,
decent.
If,
Yeah,
if,
go ahead.
John Allen, if you're an apprentice, you get accepted into the program. To get accepted into the program, the IBEW, not so much the carpenters, but IBEW and other unions, they have an entrance exam, that kind of thing, and everything else. As a veteran coming out of the service, or even a veteran who's been out for a little while wants to go ahead and change careers and that kind of thing, what's the exam process and that kind of thing? How is the entrance process into the apprentice program?
Yeah, so in general, our local, we bring in apprentices once a year, or sometimes twice a year if we have a high demand for a number of apprentices. That process is usually you sign up, we invite you to an orientation. Orientation, you get invited to a math test, and then those who pass the math test move on to the interview process. But through our helmets to hard hats initiative and some of our other programs, those who are coming in from the military, they have to go through the same process, but if they fail the math test, they still go directly to interview. We still give you the math test just so we know where your placement is and if we need to help you in tutoring of any kind, but it doesn't preclude you. Most people off the street, if they fail the math test, they got to come back again. They don't get to proceed to interview process. So it's basically a direct interview, even though we still have you take the math test just to gauge where you are. And so I think that's a pretty good program. And with us, when we usually have most people who make it to the interview process end up in the union at some point. So you're not guaranteed. I can't say 100%, but you're in the high 80s, high 90s, a possibility of getting in if you're coming from the military, because we definitely acknowledge the service that you do and want to help out our veterans in any way we can.
John, can you expand on the helmets to hard hats program? I mean, that's something that strikes a real chord.
I honestly, we have representatives who I could get you in touch with. I don't know that I've only been in my position for a little bit, and I don't know directly, all the details. I just know that that's a very important program, and I have the access to those people, and I can get you to who you need to talk to. So if we have veterans who want to come in, they can contact me directly, and I will get you to who you need to talk to, and they will walk you through the entire process.
We have the chat function if you want to go ahead and put that contact information in there. And,
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and I think that'd be extremely valuable for anybody who's watching this. And here's a question that I know the answer to, and I think you know the answer to. So we're looking at the wages and we're looking at that, and you have people out there who are saying, well, why should I hire a union? I can go ahead and get an independent to come in here and get things done and that kind of thing. But you assume a veteran goes through the training and that kind of thing and is hired by the union. So how would you answer that question as far as why would you hire the union?
So the biggest thing for the union is our training and our safety. So especially when you talk about larger projects, union work, you go through extensive safety training, and because we are all members of the same local in general or the same union, we fight for each other. So when we see there's a safety concern, we can do a job stand down. When you're talking about non-union, there are definitely people on that side who can do the work, who can do it well. but I don't think it's as consistent as ours. The training, like I said, the training that I've been put through, from safety to welding training to becoming a CWI, certified welding inspector. That training is off the charts, and those are all things that if I was out in the real world, they'd all be coming out of my pocket. The hotels, the cost of the instruction, the travel to wherever I need to go, and so yeah, I think it's really the training that gets you there. And like I tell my wife, and anybody I talk to about this, when you're talking about a construction job, in general, the material is going to cost the same. The permits are going to cost the same. The architect's going to cost pretty close to the same. You're not getting huge margins in that. So when a union company comes in and they're competitive in those prices, it means that they believe that their guys, even for that higher wage, can do a better job, a more consistent job. They do the job once and it's done right, and it's going to be quality. So that's what you get with the union, and that's what we preach, and that's what we try and do. Like I said, non-union apprenticeships are 6 months. Well, 6 months versus 5 years is a significant difference.
Well, that's the answer I was looking for, and it's absolutely true. And the other thing about military people is generally military people in general have a pride of service and that kind of thing. And most of the union people that I've worked with in the past and have a pride of service with the union too. You say you fight for each other and that kind of thing. And I think any veteran coming into looking at it being an apprentice program, there's kind of a symmetry there as far as a symbiosis, whatever you want to call it, with the military and the unions. That that sense of camaraderie that's important to veterans and military people alike, right?
Absolutely. So I think one of the things I like to say is that the best part about being in the union is the people you work with, and sometimes the worst part about the working in the union is the people you work with. But in general, most of the people I've worked with have been amazing, and some of them are my best friends, and they're there for me at work and at home, and I'm there for them in the same way, just like the military is for each other. And we call it a brotherhood or a sisterhood, as you would, and just like the military does. And speaking to the pride and that factor, I can't speak for every single individual, but I know for myself and most of the guys that I talk to, like I said, I helped build hospitals. Knowing that you go back and you drive by that facility, and that people are, babies are being born there, lives are being saved there, and you had something to contribute to that, I think is amazing. And I think, like you're saying, the military, you guys know the freedom that we enjoy is there because of the service that you've done. So pride in what you do is important. And I think that there's a higher sense of pride in what you do within the union than outside of it.
Another thing that comes to mind too, if you're an apprentice and that kind of, like the IBEW, they're famous for taking their apprentices out and putting them literally in the trenches, working on underground lines, that kind of thing, getting used to that and that kind of thing. What's the physicality as far as an apprentice is concerned? And the reason I'm asking that is because a lot of veterans that come out of the service, if you look at them, they may be 6'1", 185, 190, look like they're in great shape, but they may have some sort of physical aspect, or if some things along those lines. What's the physicality aspect?
So, I mean, there's obviously a lot of standing, a lot of walking within the trade. Because of, past safety issues and things as far as people getting injured on the job, we really subscribe to OSHA regulations, Cal OSHA, Fed OSHA, and we've reduced a lot of the really hard physical labor that's done. I mean, there's still a possibility of it, but I think that one of the things that the union contractors agree to do is to supply us with the proper equipment. So when you're lifting heavy things, we're using mechanical advantage. We're using, rigging and all sorts of different devices to help us. We're using cranes. We're not muscling tons of stuff up, so whether that's a wounded veteran, somebody who's coming back with a few bumps and bruises, or with a limp, or it's a female who may not feel like they can compete with the guy who's 6'4", whatever. We try to negate that as much as possible. And honestly, I think we're really trying to bring in more younger people, but a lot of the people within the trades are, in their 40s, 50s, 60s. I mean, I've worked alongside quite a few people in their 60s, and they're still able to do the job because of the help that we give them, the right equipment for the right job, and using those mechanical advantages that we have to be able to, less muscle, more brain. So, yeah.
Interesting point too, as far as the women are concerned. How's the female representation as far as the union is concerned?
So, like a lot of construction trades, we all feel like we would like to get more women in. I it's a big goal, to try and, but it when you have freedom of choice, they don't always choose to want to do it. But if there is anyone who has any interest in, any woman who has any interest in our trade, I would encourage you to try it. And I've worked alongside some amazing women in the trade, and some of them are really involved in, there are women in the trades organizations where they have meetings, and really kind of help each other out, and encourage each other, because I mean, honestly, especially in welding, like, there's not a lot of heavy lifting when you're talking about pipe welding. It's just hand-eye coordination and a little bit of practice, or well, a lot of bit of practice. But so I see some really talented female welders. You get past some of the aspects that, you get people who are interested in doing that. Women can do just as good as men, and sometimes even better. So.
Anyway, just look at that for just a minute, because just in the last few years, as far as women in the service, with the opening up of the combat arms and all of that, we have women rangers now, and you're having women as far as the Green Berets and certain, the combat arms, which is extremely fit, which is totally physical. And yeah, probably in the next few years, you're going to see those women who are discharged and that kind of thing be great union candidates, quite frankly, because of the smarts and also because of the physicality.
Yeah, I mean, it's open. I mean, there's a wide, it's wide open for women to come in. Like I said, I'm first generation, and so I love being able to expose my trade and the trades in general to those people who may not have been taught about it in the past. So it's huge. Outreach is big for us, not only with women, but minority groups. I do outreaches with high schools, and I don't think that there's any, there's a model for what a perfect pipe fitter, plumber, welder is. It's just somebody who has a passion for what they do, working with their hands, and is willing to put in the work. I think I can train anybody who has that desire to be good at what they do. So,
well, the military, it's interesting because the military, I mean, they have pipe fitters and they have all of that kind of thing in the military too. And I would think that would be almost kind of a direct, transfer as far as coming into the unions in some ways. And pipelines and that kind of thing. Looking at industrial welding, do you get into underwater work as well, as far as the industrial welding? Is that something? Because I have a couple of Navy guys who did industrial welding, underwater work, and those kinds of things. Anything along those lines?
So every jurisdiction is a little different. So the good thing is, if you have those skills, if you were a pipe fitter or a welder like that in the military, not only would you probably surpass the exam and go straight to interview, but we would more than likely bring some of those people in as hire apprentices or journeymen. And once you become a journeyman, then the whole nation is kind of opened up to you. When you're still in training, we try and keep you close to the house, close to the local, so that you can go to training at your facility. But the whole nation is opened up to you after that, and even into international. There are people who go to Canada back and forth. We have Canadians here. And so, for those who have those skills, I would say, we, depending on what local you go to, they may have some underwater work. I don't think it's a huge part of our industry, but if you can weld underwater, you can weld outside of water, and you can make that industrial welder scale. So I think that it's something that if you have those skills, when you if you contact me and you want to just bring that stuff over, we're talking bringing you over more as a journeyman or a higher apprentice, not as a first year. So you're coming in with that in that $35-40 an hour range versus.
So in this area, would they work more with oil rigs and platforms and that kind of thing, or were they doing pipeline connects, that kind of thing, or what?
So there are definitely pipeline locals. Bakersfield has a lot of the state of California, their pipeline work.
Mhm.
And I can get the person involved with that. We do have some work out at platforms, not our local specifically, but Santa Barbara, Ventura, because they're in their jurisdiction. What you see at our local is we have a refinery in Napomo.
Yep.
We have a nuclear power plant in Avila Beach. We have we have lots of work that ends up going on at wineries and at Cal Poly. They're building some big facilities there right now, science building. We have some of our apprentice and journeyman work in there. There's some wastewater facilities that are going to be being built in the next few years. French Hospital has a large expansion that we're just waiting to get going. So working in hospital, doing welding, chiller pipe, doing medical gas brazing. Those are really high importance and really good jobs. So yeah, there's a decent amount of welding within our jurisdiction. We work hand in hand with Santa Barbara Local, which is located in Buellton, Santa Barbara County.
Mhm.
There's some pretty big stuff potentially going to be going on with Vandenberg. They're going to need a lot of welders. They would use us, we would be one of the first people they would call for welders. And our local is known much more for welders than Santa Barbara Local. And so, those are the opportunities. And then, like I said, you come over, you have those skills, you're a journeyman. There's work all over the Bay Area. There's work all over LA. Oregon is got lots of work right now, and you can travel. And the good thing about traveling within our trade is that when you come over as a journeyman, you get access to the emails, the national emails for work. What you're getting paid, what the health and welfare in that local is, what the benefits, all the benefits, it's all laid out for you before you get in the truck and go. What the what your expectation is. They generally tell you how many hours you're going to be working. So a lot of people who want to travel, they figure I'm going to be traveling, I might as well work a lot of hours. So we work a lot of overtime if you want it. And then depending on how desperate they are for the job, there's even per diem that's added in to incentivize people to come out and do the work. So
Have the hurricanes impacted as far as your union is concerned? I would just think about, electricians, of course, but I would think as far as, welding, as far as plumbing is concerned, because flood surges and that kind of thing, they affect everything.
Yeah, well, construction is, there's certain infrastructure that we deal with. And, sometimes it needs, hurricanes come through, you gotta fix stuff. We haven't seen a lot of calls for those areas, but sometimes that work takes a little while to show up. So, if a storm surge comes in and wipes out some sort of facility and they need to, redo some piping, redo some work, they have to assess the damage and get, insurance to cover it. And then you see the work calls go out for stuff like that. But there are, for welders and people who want to travel, there are circuits you can get on. The nuclear power circuit is huge. Every nuclear power plant has a refueling outage every unit within a nuclear power plant. So like Diablo, there's 2 units. So every 18 months there's an outage. Well, that means there's one every year, and some years there's two just at that one facility. Some facilities have 4 or 5 units, and so you can travel the country almost year round doing outages. And the nice thing about that is you generally work a lot of overtime, and then like in the winter and in the summer, there's small breaks. So you've worked a lot of hours, you got a nice bank account, you can enjoy the summer, you can go hunting in the winter, those are opportunities. And then there's also the refinery circuit. So refineries have what they call turnarounds every couple of years, and where they do large maintenance. And so you can get on those circuits if you're one to want to travel one to one, even if you're a pipe fitter, definitely if you're a welder. So.
Kind of like the stand downs over at PG&E with the reactor and that kind of thing. Same
Yep,
kind.
exactly.
Yeah. Locally, though, I mean, as far as your union is concerned, do you work with Monterey County as well?
Monterey County is a different local,
Oh.
but they're part of the Northern County districts.
Yep.
But
Okay.
we butt up against them in certain areas. The oil fields up in San Ardo and up near the military base up north.
Mm-hmm.
So we try and have relationships as best we can with all the locals surrounding us. And if they're in desperate need, they know they can call us.
Locally, it's mainly commercial. It is
A lot of commercial. I mean, like I said, science buildings, hospitals. Like I said, Diablo Canyon has an outage every year, so until they close, we have those. The refinery has work sporadically and then turnarounds. So they have, they usually keep a couple of guys out there all the time. Same with Diablo Canyon, but then when they have outages, they bring in larger groups. I think we had 40 something pipe fitters and welders out at Diablo last month, and their outage is coming to an end right now. And when we've had outages at the refinery, you have multiple, tens and 20s of guys. And so yeah, there's a lot of different work. And like I said, wastewater facilities, that's going to be some decent welding and different stuff. So, it's kind of a mixed bag, but it's kind of a good mixed bag,
So there'll be an ongoing need for apprentices.
Yes. Yeah.
Good. Is there anything that you would like to say as far as any of the veterans listening in, as far as the union or applying for the union or in general, things along those lines?
Well, I mean, obviously, thank you for your service. Thank you for the opportunity to come here. I appreciate all those who are watching. Like I said, my phone number is in the chat. That's my direct cell. If you have any questions, it's hard to go through everything in a time like this, but if you want to come in, I can give you a tour of our facility. I can go over any of that stuff. So feel free to give me a call. And I'm here to help, and even if that's not for my union directly, if you want to get a hold of other unions, I try and help out as best I can. So yeah, feel free to contact me. And I'll
located, John.
I live in Santa Maria. Our local is in San Luis Obispo. It's on Broad Street over near the PG&E laydown yard. And we have a nice facility, some we have computer lab, instrumentation lab, weld bay. And like I said, with training and access to training, once you're in the program, coming in and practice welding, learning to weld, any of that stuff when you have free time is free to you. They pay me to be there to help instruct in welding, help give welding tests, and that's all included in your wage package and in your being a part of the union. So
Well, that's a pretty good deal.
yeah.
So that enables you, if you're unfamiliar with like a MIG, or if you want to get into TIG, vice versa, you can go ahead and actually practice that right there, can't you?
Yeah, we pay for the welding gases, we pay for the machines, we pay for the filler rod, all the different consumables. You bring your welding hood and some gloves, and the material you weld on is paid for. It's all part of those funds that I showed in the wage package. So and if you want to learn other things, there are opportunities for tutoring. and we want to build or help people become the best apprentices they can be, the best journeyman they can be. So there are lots of other training opportunities. When I was in my apprenticeship, I got my rigging cert. I got other certifications through some of our journeyman upgrade, and those journeyman classes are available to apprentices if they're not full. So there's lots of training, lots of opportunities, and like I said, it's all free.
Well, I think that's absolutely wonderful. And I just want to thank you for coming on today. You represent your union so well. And it's nice to know that the professionalism that's out there specifically through that particular union and the other unions is available for those who really need something to. And you mentioned it earlier, and we hit on this as far as hiring union. The safety aspect is, of course, paramount. It's something that is just ingrained into the union aspect and the union hiring practices, the training, all of that kind of thing. It's so important. But I think the other thing you're getting at as far as hiring union is the knowledge and the skills. The knowledge and the skills that, as you pointed out, for 5 years of training to get to be the journeyman level and then on beyond and the ongoing training. I really do think you get your bang for the buck, but you get the power of the union behind you as well. So I just want to thank you, John, and I'd like to invite you and the union to become members of the collaborative. And if you get a chance to join us at our meetings, and we just think it's important to have the unions behind specifically when it comes to veteran services. So we'd like to extend that invitation to you if you consider it.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And I appreciate the time. Like I said, feel free to reach out, whether that's a panelist, an attendee, family member, anybody. The only thing we require is 18, be 18 and have a high school equivalency. So GED or a diploma. So if you have those, you're ready to go.
Well, let's hope the phone keeps ringing. Okay. Thank you, John. You have a good week. Okay. And good luck to you and the union. And we look forward to working with you again in the future.
Okay. Thank you very much, Alan.
Thank you, John. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.